In the year 70 AD, Roman legions sacked and burned Jerusalem. Israel would remain a nation in exile for nearly 2,000 years. But in the aftermath of World War II, the people of the book returned home. Israel's rebirth and survival in the 20th century has often been called a miracle. Those who were there cite their own experiences as proof. I'm Michael Greenspan. I'm an investigative journalist. These are their stories.
עצרו, אנחנו בשדה מוקשים!
סמק! מה עושים עכשיו?
שקט אילן, אתה רוצה להוביל לפה את כל הצבא הסורי?
זהו, אין כבר דרך חזרה.
אבל אין שום סיכוי שנצא מהשדה מוקשים הזה בחיים. נו, לפחות נמות כולנו ביחד.
זה לא מצחיק לך. יש כאן איזה 100,000 מוקשים. לא חייבים לזחול את הדרך שלנו החוצה. קדימה, להוציא את הכידונים ולעשות מה שלמדנו בתרגולת. קדימה, ברגע שמגיעים למוקש, אנחנו חופרים סביבו, מוציאים אותו בזהירות ומנטרלים אותו. זאת הדרך היחידה שלנו לצאת מכאן. קדימה.
אם לא נספיק עד הזריחה...
אנחנו נספיק עד הזריחה. קדימה. לפעול בזהירות.
Enough. We get it before the storm starts. I can't stay up here when it does. Greg, get ready. I'm gonna feed you into the studio live now. Bob, get ready to take a live feed on line 2.
want you to write some copy for Sheila on your way to the airport.
No rest for the wicked, huh?
What?
Never mind. Tell them I'll do it.
You ladies usually know.
I'm never late, Teresa.
Come on, Michael.
Bye, Teresa.
Have a nice flight.
Kevin, so we do it again.
Yes, sir.
Listen, I want you to give this to Sheila. It's copy for tonight's news.
I'll send it to the airport uplink.
Okay.
I thought you weren't going to make it, sir.
I always make it, Kevin.
Right.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome.
My name is
to
Michael
the last
Greenspan.
night of non-stop
Thomas,
service tonight
you beat me to it.
Please fasten your seatbelts and enjoy
I'm an investigative journalist, one of those guys you see on the evening news. Sometimes our efforts bring about long overdue changes. Other times, what we do is debatable. We seldom have answers. Our job is to raise the questions. Some stories put life and death on the line, and some touch something much deeper. Some would say much higher. It's a story like this that put me on tonight's flight to Tel Aviv. How I got here started with a phone call from an old friend. A production company in LA was doing a film about unexplainable phenomena during Israel's wars. Some of the stories were actually being called miracles.
Greenspan.
They wanted to know if I was interested. I told them I'd think about it.
Yeah, I got the package. No.
Personally, I find it hard to believe in miracles. Not in the sense of some divine hand intruding in people's lives to achieve some heavenly purpose on earth. Too many horrible things happen to very good people for me to believe that. But clearly, something beyond their understanding has happened to a lot of reasonably intelligent people. But miracles? I don't know about that.
Terrific. Okay.
Yet I couldn't escape the possibility that this assignment might help me explain how my people managed to survive 2,000 years of exile and then build a nation out of almost nothing. If there are miracles, Israel itself has to be one. Born out of the ashes of the Holocaust, it was just one day old when it was attacked by 12 armies that the world fully expected would annihilate it. Israel didn't even have an army. It was one tank and 5 cannon with which to fight back an armada against them. And yet, Israel won. How? Every time Israel has been attacked, Pentagon and Kremlin leaders have declared defeat as inevitable. In 1973, the odds of surviving were so impossible, Prime Minister Golda Meir considered suicide. The cabinet drew up plans for a government in exile. Complete annihilation was a certainty. At the last minute, American aid, provided by a president considered by many to be devoutly anti-Semitic, provided the largest airlift of arms since World War II to save Israel. Why? When Saddam Hussein literally rained down scores of Scud missiles on Israel's cities during the Gulf War, not one person was killed. How do you explain that? The military experts at West Point won't study Israel's wars because their outcomes are too impossible. But the anomalies don't stop on the battlefield. How did Hebrew become the only dead language in history to be revived after 2,000 years? Why would millions of people from around the world leave their homes and move to a desert wasteland to build new lives for themselves? How did these people manage to turn a land more than 80% desert into one of the largest food and flour exporters in the world? Why have incredible achievements in science, medicine, and new technologies happened here in greater concentration than anywhere else? There are no logical answers. Some say these things can only be explained as miracles. But are they? I decided to take the assignment. I didn't tell the producers I felt I had to.
Hello? Hi, Rami. Yeah, I want to meet as many as I possibly can.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will soon be landing at David Ben-Gurion International Airport. Please fasten your seatbelts for the rest of the flight, and welcome to Israel.
This isn't my first time in Israel. I'm in and out of here a lot, doing news stories for CNN, BBC, and lots of others. I'm certainly not religious, but there's a part of me that feels like I'm home when I'm here. The road from the airport to Jerusalem takes about 30 minutes. But once you reach the old city, it feels like you've been traveling for centuries. Jerusalem is 3,000 years old, holy to Jews, Muslims, and Christians. This is the city of David, where Solomon built the temple, where God said he would forever dwell and watch over his chosen people. Of all the places to look for miracles, it should be here. I'm staying at the American Colony Hotel, as I always do. It's a favorite haunt for writers and journalists working in Israel, maybe because it feels like some place where Hemingway would have stayed. I stay here because there's no other place that makes me feel more like I'm in turn-of-the-century Palestine.
Hi, Michael.
Hi, Rami.
How are you?
Okay.
Welcome back.
Thanks.
So as you ask, everything is here. We manage everything on your list, and your schedule is here also.
Terrific. Room 6 of the American Colony Hotel. It is a wonderful place, but I won't have much time to enjoy it. I have just 12 days. 12 days to find the truth and tell this story, whatever it turns out to be. It's not enough time, but there never is. We begin tomorrow. I'm beginning my investigation of supposed miracles by meeting two veterans of Israel's wars. Later, I'll be visiting with Avigdor Kahalani, almost a legend in Israeli military history, a highly decorated war hero in 67 and 73. I'm told he has an amazing story of survival to tell me. But first, I'm driving up to the Golan Heights, a land of gently rolling hills and beautiful valleys that form the northern border between Israel and Syria. I'm going there to meet David Yaniv, a veteran tank commander in the 1973 Yom Kippur War.
This must bring back a lot of memories for you being up here.
I'll tell you something, this is such nostalgia for me, especially after so many years, just to walk in the same place where I used to be. You know, this area over there, just in front of us there, if you can look there. We were on foot trying to find a way to get to this village.
David Yaniv was a young tank commander during the Yom Kippur War. We met on a windswept hillside just above a battlefield that holds some incredible memories for David and his comrades.
So what do you do in a situation like that?
You get on your knees very quickly.
יש כאן איזה 100,000 מוקשים. לא חייבים לזחול את הדרך שלנו החוצה.
You take out your bayonet and you start finding mines.
This is a life-threatening situation. In other words, if you went forward, it was dangerous. What about just retreating?
Whichever way, whether it's to the left, to the right, backwards or forwards, I mean, it's a minefield. We did the best we could. And we dug ourselves, we managed to expose a few and dismantle them. And it was a very slow process. But at this particular point, a very, very strong gust of wind came. Something which we could not explain at all. I mean, it was so strong that we literally felt that we were flying away. That's how strong it was. And mines that were buried 25, 30 centimeters in the ground just exposed themselves. And we didn't have to dig them out. We were just walking through them.
This is something I gather you hadn't seen the likes of before.
No way did we see that. In fact, when we came back, nobody could understand that. And of course, we didn't think of it as a miraculous thing from God or anything. You know, we just thought, well, that was just a fluke, a wind that came, which we couldn't explain, and that was it.
Well, when did the thought first hit you that it might have been an act of God?
When we came back and we're alive. When we really touched ourselves and thought, well, we're alive.
What is a miracle?
A miracle is a supernatural occurrence, something which you cannot explain, but it does happen. A wind like this didn't happen before. It didn't happen afterwards. The minute these mines were exposed, that was it. There was no more wind. It was like the calm after the storm.
What's the food for thought I need to take with me in order to get it the way you think it is?
Just believe that it could happen. Just believe.
To many Israelis, there is no more powerful symbol of the struggle that Israel has endured to survive than this place, the Armored Corps Museum and Memorial at Latrun. But an equally powerful symbol of Israel's defiant struggle to survive is the man I'm going to meet today. Avigdor Kahalani is one of Israel's most famous war heroes. His personal story is legendary.
Victor, tell me about your first war.
The first time I fought in 67, in June. 67, six-day war. I was a company commander. I had a mission to go to El Arish, it's the capital of the Sinai.
נועה, לאל-עריש!
סיני, שמעת מה שהמפקד אמר? תחנה הבאה אל עריש.
כן, המפקד!
What was about to happen to Avigdor Kahalani on the road to El Arish has become almost a legend in Israel's history, told to school children, remembered by almost anyone you meet on the street to whom you mention the name Kahalani.
עצור!
נהג עצור! נהג עצור! חדלש! 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 ישראלים.
עצור! יש טנקים מצריים בכיוון הזה!
תודה, ביי.
עבור!
אוקיי, רפי, שמעת מה הוא אמר? נא להתקדם מכאן. נהג עצור, נהג עצור.
אף התחבס טנקים מצרים בכוונת? אני רואה רק חפירות, לא טנקים.
נפגענו! נפגענו! לצאת החוצה!
As suffocating flames overpowered Kahalani's struggle to escape his burning tank, he drifted into unconsciousness. Before him passed the story of his life, his mother and father, his childhood friends, his family, his fellow soldiers, the faces of those he loved and cared for, those who cared for him, those he would never see again as his body resigned itself to death. Kahalani was suddenly, inexplicably filled with an overpowering desire to live. He summoned a strength he had never known. Avigdor Kahalani would not die this day.
I was in the hospital almost a year. 60% of my body was burned. I had 16 operations. After a year, I was allowed to go to the army, but they wouldn't put me in the office. And I took the paper, and they wrote my medical profile 31. And in Israel, the maximum is 97. I took the paper, I cleaned it up, I wrote 97, and I go back to the tank.
Why in the world did you go on again?
My father, he fought for the country in the Independence War. And when he finished the war, he came to me and said, look, my son, I have a present for you. I was like, which kind of present? He said, you have a homeland today. You have a flag, you have a song, you have a country. It was a miracle for me to survive. I remember when I was on Sinai in 67, lay down and nobody was around me. And I didn't know if I'm going to go to survive or not. And I prayed to the God. I told him, look, my God, if you are there, just what I ask you to take 1 second and take me from here, put me in the hospital. I promise you that I'm going to pray for all the rest of my life.
Kahalani's survival in the Sinai was a medical miracle by most accounts. His recovery would enable him to play a life and death role in the Yom Kippur War, when a Syrian tank armada seemed unstoppable in its advance toward Tel Aviv. Like David in the Bible, Kahalani faced down the Syrian Goliath, stopping it long enough for Golda Meir to persuade U.S. President Richard Nixon to authorize the largest airlift of arms since World War II, literally saving Israel. Kahalani believes his survival in '67 was so he could be part of the miracle of '73. But that's another story for another visit with this true hero. Is there an unseen force at work here? Could there be a divine hand watching over this ancient land and its modern people? Miracles? I don't know. Whatever happened, the lives of those who experienced these events were changed. Something has happened here. Miracles or otherwise, whatever it is, I will find the truth.